Hey everyone, my name is Captain Jack and today we're talking more about Starbase. So, since my other video, which was right after the announcement trailer for the game, many of you have asked me, Jack, we need to know more information about this game, it looks awesome. Well, the good news is I have plenty of cool information to share, so stick around as we learn more about this ambitious and cool looking upcoming game. Just for clarification, I'm not sponsored or anything to make this video, I just quite like the look of the game, so I'm keeping up to date with all the info and want to share some details with you all. If you want to keep up to date with Starbase like me, then make sure to subscribe as there'll be more coming soon. Before I do jump into the entire video, I actually wanted to invite you to my Discord server, as I'm currently putting together my own faction in preparation for Starbase. We're going to be called RWI, and if you've been around the channel for a while, you know why. So come and join us for some fun, the link is in the description, and let me know if you do join, I can't wait to see you there. Right, so in case you're wondering what Starbase actually is, well, let me quickly tell you. Starbase is a brand new MMO with gameplay focused on building and designing spaceships, stations, and more, along with exploration, resource gathering, crafting, trading, and combat features. The game also features a sandbox mode where players like you and me can explore the game along with friends in their own universe. The game developer is Frozen Byte, who are well known for their Trine series of games. So that is the official description of Starbase. Throughout this video, I'm going to explore certain questions by the community in an effort to provide you with more information about the game. So let's jump into it. Just quickly, a massive thank you to Starbase Discord moderator Rekatech for collecting a ton of developer questions and answers in a giant Google Doc. This has served as a source of some of my information today. I'll link to that in the video description. I apologise if I announced your name wrong. So first, is the game currently out? If not, when is it releasing? Now this question popped up quite a bit, which is cool as I'm about to answer it. Starbase is currently not out at the moment, but will be going to early access at some point soon. There is no date for when early access for the game will start, but according to the developers, 2019 is very likely. However, as one of them mentioned, projects like this change over time, and it really comes down to how they're feeling about releasing it to the public. Starbase currently has a Steam store page, so you can go and add it to your wishlist if you want to. There is currently no set price for the game, but there is no subscription, so once you buy it, you have it. Regarding a time frame for release of the game, the developers are looking at a pre-alpha followed by the early access phase and then a final release, which will take a year or two at least. Now this is to be expected when you look at the scale of the project that they are making, so I'd say this is a fair assessment of what could happen. Just a quick note though, and I'd like to say this, as this is a large project, I expect these estimations to change over time, as such of game development, and I don't think we should be disappointed or angry with the developers when they do so. It's just something to keep in mind, game development isn't linear, things will change over time. Okay, let's talk technical, specifically the game development process. I think many of us were super impressed by the announcement trailer for the game. Even I was left thinking, damn, that's a powerful game engine to be running all of this. Regarding the game engine for Starbase, it's actually built using Frozen Byte's own engine, so it's customized in-house with them to their own needs. For comparison, this is similar to what Keen Software House, the developers of Space Engineers, have with that game. When it comes to a giant sandbox games like this, you find more and more development studios using their own in-house game engine these days, as it really is just easier for them. Now many of you have wondered how long the game has been worked on for. The developers have stated the project of Starbase has been in development for 5 years now. I personally think this is good. It means we have a solid base to work off of, rather than going into early access with a fresh idea. It's been shown through the games industry that idea does not always go to plan, and you should probably stay away from it. Now one thing I want to add in here is something about server wipes, as many of you asked about this. Server wipes during development and early access was a big concern for many of you. As this is an MMO, us players don't want to lose our progress in the game. It's been stated that between the pre-alpha and the early access stage it's very likely that partial wipes will occur. But I would expect that by the end of early access happens, there wouldn't be any wipes as the game will be on a more solid release date. Okay, let's talk servers. How are they going to work and can we host our own? This was a popular question. While the game is an MMO, could community servers eventually be a thing? I know personally I would love to have one for my community and many of you have been asking me to eventually get one. Trust me, if I can, I will. First, let's talk server technology. The servers will be true to an MMO standard, so like World of Warcraft servers for comparison. Regarding the number of players on a Starbase server, according to the developers they have tested 75 plus players so far, with the game capping visible players to 100. So a fair number. It's worth noting that these early tests, and I expect when pre-alpha and early access comes around, we can get more fixed numbers and even larger players, as there'll be more people to test with. Oh, before I forget, this is a seamless MMO, all the layers in the universe are at the same time. I like the sound of this, and it reminds me of another ambitious space MMO, Dual Universe. The question of can we self-host a Starbase server comes up a lot in my previous comments, and the community Discord server. As the developer mentioned, no, there is a sandbox mode which is close to it. The sandbox mode of the game is like an offline universe with no progression inside it at the moment. According to developers, there are plans to add a tutorial and scenario system to this mode in post-early access. Now regarding community servers, at the moment it looks like there won't be anything during the early access or main launch. We can host our own sandbox private games like I just mentioned, but due to Starbase being an MMO, the developers want to keep their servers active. This does make a lot of sense. Maybe in the future we could have our own community servers, but I can totally understand the developers wanting to keep their own systems at the moment, especially when they put so much work into it. Alright, let's talk shipbuilding. Shipbuilding and station engineering is obviously a big part of Starbase, so let's talk about how it'll work inside the game. As obvious as it is, materials are needed to make awesome starships and starbases. But how do we get them, you ask? Well, all you need to do is mine and refine them as a part of the gameplay. But if you're too cool for that life and you simply just want to buy materials directly, then you can. The developers mention it is cheaper just to produce them from scratch though, if you have the capability to do so. A common question I've seen was around the idea of pre-made ships in Starbase. Well, luckily for us, the devs have a plan to have plenty of pre-made ships in the game, but also broken ships that need to be repaired. Imagine you're out exploring and you come across this broken down old warship, you and your friends fix it up and bam, suddenly you're rocking a new bigger starship to fly around and do whatever you want in. With the idea of pre-made ships, it did make me think about something. If players like us are out here designing our own starships, I wonder if at some point in the future, we can sell our ships, or at least the designs of them as pre-made ships for other players to purchase. As an MMO, I think this feature could be awesome and it would be something I'd love to see at some point. Say one player builds a famous starship, maybe that player can upload the ship to a pre-made ship workshop or something at some point in the future. It's just an idea, but I think it could be really cool. Okay, back to building ships. Building ships inside Starbase does appear complex because of the parts and features required to make one and actually get it operational, but once you dig into this building style, it's actually less complex and rather straightforward. Starting off a build for your starship, you're going to need to make a frame, which is built out of beams. Then you're going to need some thrusters to make it move, some controls and buttons like levers to operate your ship, oh and obviously you'll need power and propellant as well. Now this is the basic approach. Obviously at a later date you can add on armor plating, windows and other things like doors to make your ship look cool, but I thought I'd just outline the basics at the moment. Take note, this all could change by the time early access rolls around. I did just want to state that, as a lot of what I'm mentioning here today is coming from developer comments. We're not currently in early access yet, so when early access rolls around, some of this information might be out of date. If so, I'll try my best to let you know down below in the comments and description. Now before I end this video, I did want to talk about one more really cool feature, and that is how damage to ship works. We've seen in the trailer that you can potentially end up in giant ship battles inside Starbase. So what will happen when a ship you've spent time creating takes damage, you ask? Well, luckily for us, Starbase developers have a rough answer. According to the developers, generators and presumably other objects like them have a threshold they must lose before breaking. Kinda how Space Engineers blocks works for comparison. Now bullets can pierce your ship, reminds me of The Expanse. If they do and it goes through say a generator, then it's most likely going to explode. A giant kaboom I imagine, I wouldn't like to be in the engineering room. The bullet can also pierce cables, and if they're destroyed then your ship can lose functionality. Which means you're screwed I guess. So yeah, that's how damage works, kind of the basics. Anyway, I'm going to leave it here for my video on Starbase for today. I think I've given you quite a lot of information to process. Once again, this information might change when early access comes around, hopefully later this year. A big thank you to Starbase moderators for putting the giant FAQ document together that I've referenced as part of this video. The entire document is linked in the video description, so if you want to go and read it for yourself, the link is down below. Indulge yourself, it's got some fantastic information there, I loved it. Remember, my Discord is currently open for Starbase community members. If you want to come join, chat about the game, and join us in our faction getting ready for the launch of the game, then make sure you do so. In the meantime, thank you for watching. I've been Captain Jack. Make sure to subscribe to stay up to date with Starbase videos, and I'll catch you next time.